Well, good evening everybody and welcome to our webinar this week. We've got a fantastic guest tonight which I will get to in a moment, but I really want to welcome everybody and remind everybody what our vision and our mission is here, and that is our Reliv vision is to nourish the world in body, mind and spirit, and we do that with the amazing products that we have and with our amazing opportunity, and of course with this incredible personal growth that people experience when they get involved in not only the industry but in Reliv, because it's such an amazing company to be involved in, and we're going to talk more about that in the webinar tonight. I want to share with everybody what our 3-year vision is for the Asia Pacific region, and that is to reach the revenues of $1 million sales per month from each of the markets in the Asia Pacific region. The reason that we share this with distributors is because if the company is achieving $1 million in sales per month in each of the markets, then the active, engaged distributors in those markets are going to be reaching financial independence and financial freedom, because if the company's making that, that means you guys are making that too. And our role from the company side of things is to support you in the field as much as we can to ensure that you do reach that financial independence that you're after. Our top priorities throughout the region for 2013 have been to increase our key performance indicators of sponsoring, sales, advancements and retention. And if all of those are building, let me tell you guys, your business is building, because they are absolutely the key to your business. And if you've got people who are advancing in title in your organization, then I'm telling you, your business is growing, and retention will look after itself. We've been looking after developing brand awareness. We want to develop the brand awareness so that people have heard about Reliv, they know our products, and we are developing that further and further throughout the region. We've increased our online capabilities amazingly since the start of this year, and we're doing more and more and more, and there's a lot coming, and very soon there's going to be another announcement about that, which is really quite exciting. We've implemented our social media strategy, and that has absolutely taken it by storm, our business by storm, as we are using more and more social media and reaching more and more people, and our viral capacity to be able to reach the people that we couldn't get to in any other way is increasing amazingly. And of course, our focus is on director level, because at director level, that's where you're starting to build a business. And if people build to that level and they focus on making it to the director and beyond, well then you are actually achieving that goal of making it through to financial independence. But right now what I really want to do is I want to take this opportunity, because it's so exciting. We've got a really great leader who's sharing with us on this webinar today, and that is Presidential Silver Ambassador from the UK, Jason Gregory. Jason, welcome to our webinar.
Hey Bernie, it's good to be here.
Thanks mate. Look, I can't tell you how much that I personally and our distributors appreciate you taking the time to come on board and do this with us, because we know you're on the other side of the world. You know, there is no financial gain for you to do this. It's just from your heart. And I really appreciate it, and I'm sure all of our distributors will appreciate it, and they'll be inspired by you, mate. So thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure being here, Bernie. And again, in the Reliv world, we work together. One of the things that my upline and mentor, Joe and Carol Falga, always say is that all boats rise with the tide. So I'm more than happy to be here.
Thanks, mate. Well, look, what I want to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions tonight and give you a head to let you answer them in what way that you feel is right. And my first question is an obvious one, and something that distributors are really keen to know, and that is, what's your story and why you joined Reliv?
Well, my story goes back 6.5 years. My background is in business development in IT. And I was in a middle management position that was paying me a very good income, but what I found is that it was taking me away from my family. So to give you an idea, Bernie, I could leave my house in the morning and my daughter's sleeping, come back at night after a management meeting and she's sleeping. So for that day, I hardly see her. So I've always been the type of person to look outside of my job to develop an income, because I never ever wanted to be in a position where an organization could just get rid of me and downsize me, or as we call it in the UK, make me redundant. But I also didn't want to be in a position where my children have all grown up and they hardly know me because I'm always working. And so 6.5 years ago, when my wife got introduced to these products for a friend of ours, she got really great results within 2 weeks with anemia, and my daughter got results within 4 weeks with psoriasis, eczema and hay fever. And so when I saw that, I went up to a meeting because I wanted to find out for myself what was going on. And when I heard all the information about Dr. Theodore Kalogris and all the results that people were getting, it all made sense to me, and I joined the business. Now, Bernie, what I did is I just started sharing what had happened to my family initially because that was my point of reference. But within the first 8 weeks, I made £1,000, English pounds, which showed me that this was something I could do to supplement my income. But then what happened is people started to refer other people to me because of the results that they were getting on the products, and then people started to join me in the business, and my check just continued to grow from that point. So 6.5 years down the line, Bernie, this is what I do full time. I'm no longer in IT. I build this around my 4 children. I only had 2 children when I started, Bernie, so this is really good stuff. But I've got 4 children now, and I build it around them. I've traveled internationally with the company. I'm one of the international trainers now, so I've travelled extensively to places like Hawaii, Monte Carlo, Mexico, Canadian Rocky Mountains, all over America, Europe. They treat us really well in that respect. But in March of 2008, Bernie, my wife and myself found ourselves #1 in the world outside of the US. And for the last 5 years, I've been asked to speak and train and teach in front of audiences in excess of 7,500 people. And I would not have thought that was possible 7.5 years ago, Bernie, because this is not my background. My background's not in nutrition, it's in IT. But the beauty about this is, Bernie, I don't need to know about nutrition. All I know is when people take this product consistently and for a long enough period of time, their bodies respond. So that's what I do. I love what I do. I love empowering people in their health and their finances. My best month to date for all forms of income is just under $16,000 US. And I tell you now, this has completely changed our family's lifestyle and the dynamic of our family, and I love what I do.
You're obviously passionate. I love hearing people who are passionate. That's a great story. And, you know, there's so many people out there, and so many of our distributors and new distributors who actually are in a similar place to where you were when they started, that they particularly don't like their job, they don't like the way it's heading, the fact that their family life's suffering, and then often people's relationships start to suffer. And so they're looking for something else, and they're wanting this to actually work for them. So, I mean, obviously, the question is, how have you built your business? Now, I know that you really use the Reliv success system very well, and you really adhere to that over there in the UK. So with the success system, how does that integrate with you, and how have you built your business over all this time to reach that point where you are earning 16,000 US dollars a month?
Well, first of all, Bernie, when I came into this business, I came into the business with the attitude that I am the CEO of my own organization, and so that the success of my business or the failure of my business was going to be down to me and nobody else. And so when obviously coming from a corporate background, I know that when you work at a company, every single company has got their own system of doing things, and the system is predictable. And so when I heard about the Reliv system, it was a no-brainer for me to plug into it. Because if a system is predictable, then all I have to do is follow the elements, and then I will get the predicted result. And so I looked at those elements of the system, and I just plugged in. Now, if I'm honest with you, Bernie, at the beginning, like most men, I tried to do it myself initially because obviously my background's in business development. I thought, okay, I've done business development. Let me put this into this business as well. And as with everybody who does it like that, when I did it like that, my business grew to a point, and then it stood still. And it was only until I really plugged into the Reliv system is when my business started to take off. And so that is, I mean, I would encourage everybody to look at the Reliv system, because the elements of the system, what I found, were designed to grow my business. So if I decided not to plug into an element of the system, indirectly what I was saying to myself is I was stopping my business from growing in that area. Because from the Monday night call straight through to international conference, every element of the system is integrated within each other. And so what I did is, when I understood that, I plugged in, and then everybody that I brought into the business, I let them know about plugging into the system. And the thing is, Bernie, you have to let people know in a very strong way, because if you let them know in a weak way, they're not going to plug into it because they're going to think it's optional. But when I speak to somebody, I say to them very clearly, everybody who I've ever seen build a really big check with Reliv, the common denominator is they plugged into the Reliv system. And everybody who doesn't build anything, the common denominator is they choose not to plug into the system. And so the system for me, Bernie, is a complete no-brainer, because this is how I use the system. For instance, if it was a Saturday afternoon and I'm speaking to somebody and they want to know more about what I'm doing, then the first element you're going to use is your upline, because they're your mentors. They're the people that you're going to be working with on a daily basis. So you can say something to them like, listen, you need to really hear it from my friend who's helping me build my business. They've got a lot of experience, and you're really going to benefit from hearing what they're going to say if you really want to know about this. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll connect him up to you now. And so then I'll do that on a three-way call. So already I'm using two elements of the system. And then when I connected them up to my upline obviously is going to share their story, but also what my upline is going to do is he's going to direct them to a Tuesday night meeting, again, another element to the system. But what they're going to do is they're going to say a good foundation for what you're going to hear on a Tuesday is if you plug into the Monday night call. So now we're already using four elements of the system. So they plug into the Monday night call, they like what they hear on the Monday night call, they're more likely to turn up to the Tuesday meeting. And so they come to the Tuesday meeting, Bernie, listen to the presentation, hear all the stories, network with people that are there, love it, but not everybody makes a decision at the meeting. Sometimes it takes multiple exposures before somebody's ready to make a decision. So maybe they'll come out of that meeting and start contemplating things, and so you'll use some three-way calling to introduce them to some more stories. And so let's say on the Thursday they're at the place now to make a decision. So they come on board, and then my question to them is, how serious do you want to build this? And if they say they want to build it seriously, then I'm going to say, well, you need to be at Saturday training, and you need to bring some people with you as well. So already, Bernie, now in that 1 week, I've plugged into 5 elements of the Reliv success system. And this is something that people do on a weekly basis, because as they do that on a weekly basis, what happens is they get more customers, and as a result of that, they also get more distributors, because the follow-up through the Reliv success system, the beauty about that is it's designed to convert customers into business partners. So they're going to get some business partners through there. And then over time, Bernie, what I found is some of these customers will stay as customers, but others will upgrade their commitment to distributors, and then others will upgrade their commitment to master affiliate. And so when they've upgraded their commitment to master affiliate, then what happens is they go to what is known as the MAT schools, the Master Affiliate Training Schools, which we have over here, which happens every 3 months. And so now what you're doing is you're getting people coming to Master Affiliate Training Schools every 3 months, growing their business, getting excited, plugging into those 5 weekly elements of the system, getting to the next MAT school. So by the time you get to conference, you've got a bunch of fired up people that are building their business, and they go to conference, see the bigger picture, and that is when really moves from their head to their heart. And that's all 7 elements of the system working in conjunction with each other, Bernie. So if somebody decides not to plug into those elements of the system, they're breaking that process and they're stopping their growth. So for me, I see the Reliv system as a no-brainer for anybody who is serious about building their business, but also developing other people to build their business as well. So that's how I use the system to build my business, Bernie.
That was a fantastic answer, Jason. I mean, that's exactly what it's all about, and I'm sure that our distributors here will really relate to that, because we've got a situation here where people are just starting to really use the system, and it's exactly as you've said. The groups that are using the system and following the system are the groups that are growing and getting activity and excitement, and of course then they're getting new people in, and the new people bring energy, and they bring more activity, and energy breeds energy and enthusiasm. So, you know, I'm assuming that in the UK it's exactly the same thing. As the new people come in, it just generates more energy, and that momentum just keeps rolling.
It is. When a new person is excited and they're coming in, what we want to do, especially in our meetings, when you have a new person fired up, you want to get them up doing the first half of the presentation as quickly as possible, because a new person brings new energy. But also what it does as well is, for those other people who may have been around for a while and haven't really been stepping up to the mark, it kind of burns a fire underneath them, because they see this new person burning up on fire, already doing the presentation, even get involved in Saturday training, and they understand, well, wait a minute, I need to step up as well. So it can birth that new excitement into old existing distributors as well. And I believe this as well, Bernie, because you can't force anybody to build their business. Somebody either wants to build it or they don't want to build it. And what I find, unfortunately, so many people spend so much time trying to convince people to do their business that they waste time when they could be using or talking to a new person, fired up and helping them to just expand their business further. Because it's a lot easier to give birth than to raise the dead, Bernie.
That's a great analogy, Jason, but I couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, in that case, following on from what you've just said, if you're going to give advice to distributors, to our distributors over here on the other side of the world in Asia Pacific, and, you know, markets have their little idiosyncrasies, but in general, I believe that the system works, and I believe that the structure works, and I believe that if you keep to that infrastructure, it is a working success system. But if you gave one piece of advice, one really major piece of advice to our distributors, what would it be?
The one major piece of advice I would give to every single distributor, whether or not in Asia Pacific, America, UK, wherever it is, the one piece of advice I would give them is go into their dictionary, turn the page over to Q, and the page that says quit, rip it out. Because if you always have that as an option, then you're giving yourself a get out of jail free card. And the thing is, when I came into this business, Bernie, my plan A was my plan B. In other words, I didn't give myself an option to quit. And if somebody says, well, I'm just going to try this to see if it works, they've already failed. Because if you're just trying something, again, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if you've got the motive that you're saying, listen, I'm doing this because I truly believe in it, and whatever it takes, it is going to work, then I tell you, Bernie, you will be able to ride the wave. So when things are good, you'll be able to enjoy that. But when things are not going so good, you can still stay focused because you know what your why is. And the thing is, it's not about what happens when things are going good. It's about how you respond to things when things are not going so good. Because in our business, just like any other industry on the planet, there are times and there are seasons. And sometimes you go through what is known as a dry patch. It's not because the business doesn't work, it's just the season that you're in. And so you need to stay motivated in that dry patch so you can continue to press forward, so that when your season changes, you've got so much momentum going on that you're just blowing up. But so many people, what they do is if they're going through a little bit of a dry patch, they use that as an excuse to stop doing anything. And that is the worst thing that you can do. Because once you get momentum, it's easy to keep momentum, but once that momentum dies, to build it back up again, it's pretty hard. And sometimes when you're going through that dry patch, it's not the fact that the momentum has stopped. It's what's happening is you're building deep roots. You're building some really deep roots, so you have to continue to do what you're doing. Because as you're building those roots, if those roots go down deep enough, then the explosional growth that you can have on the surface can be so massive and so quick simply because of the roots that you built, that you created. So I would say to people, don't give yourself an option to quit. Yeah, if you really want to do this, if you have a passion for helping other people, if you have a passion for changing your finances, then go with the punches, roll with the punches. No matter what it is, you know why you're doing what you're doing. Continue to do it because you will get there.
Oh, that's great advice, Jason. And, you know, listening to you talk then, you know, obviously one of the things that you're saying to people is that no matter what's in front of you, no matter what's happening, no matter what distractions you're getting, no matter how life gets in the way, as we all know it can, that you keep putting the same energy and the same actions and the same activity in month after month after month so that you can actually keep that momentum going regardless.
It's true, Bernie. I mean, the thing that none of us can escape from, Bernie, is life. Life is always going to be there. And if you let the challenges of life stop you from doing what you need to do, then you won't grow this business. I mean, I've had an extremely challenging year personally this year. My sister passed away a few months ago, and I could have used that as an excuse to say, well, I can't really build my business now because I just lost my sister. But the fact of the matter is, I had to deal with the loss, and it wasn't easy. But I had to deal with the loss, but I still had to do what I needed to do. Because even though I had that loss, I still have to put food on the table for my children. I still have to provide for my family. There are still things I need to do. And so life is always going to be there. And if people let the challenges of life stop them from building their business, then their why wasn't strong enough in the first place.
And that's, you know, Jason, you mentioned the why, and I know this is not something that you were sort of expecting me to ask you, but just how important is someone's why in this business?
I think your why is the most important thing, because your why is going to be the thing that's going to get you out of your bed in the morning to do your business. Yeah, your why is going to be the thing that's going to stop you from making excuses. Yeah, because most people who make excuses, it's simply because they can't be bothered to do something. Because the definition of an excuse is just a well thought out lie. Because if somebody wants to do something bad enough, they will find the ways and means to do it. The amount of times I've had conversations with people and or my distributors who have freewayed me into somebody, and they said, oh yeah, but this person is only interested in the business, because obviously that person must have given them an excuse previously. And then when I've interested in the product, sorry. But when I've spoken to them after that, these people wanted to do the business. Why? Because my level of posture is not going to be dictated by their excuse. And so your why is very important. My why is a thing that will get me to speak to anybody. I don't really care if you're a scientist, the head of the NHS over here in the UK, or whatever your position is. You cannot tell me these products don't work, because I've seen it in my family. And my why infuses my posture. So I talk to anybody about the product, but at the same time, I will talk to anybody about the business as well, because my why was the thing that caused me to do this in the first place. So when I first started this business, Bernie, I had all kinds of people telling me stuff like, these things only work in America, the market is saturated. What else did they tell me? It's a pyramid. I heard all the excuses. Yeah, you had to start it, you had to come on board at the beginning. But I did not let that affect me, because my why was too strong. And so 6.5 years down the line, well, wait a minute, I don't live in America, I live in the UK, and I was able to build this business. So it was obviously not determined on the fact that I lived in America. Also, the people that said you had to come on board at the beginning, well, I've only been in the business for 6.5 years, Bernie. The company's 25 years old, so you didn't have to come on board at the beginning to do this. What else did they say to me? Oh yeah, I love this one, the pyramid argument. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, Bernie, I have helped people who have come into the business after me. I have helped them to earn more money than me that month. So it's not just somebody at the top making all the money like what they say when it's a pyramid, because you can actually come into the business after your sponsor, and if you're more productive than them, make more money than them. So I blow all those excuses out of the water, and the only reason why I can do that with so much posture is because of my why.
Well, you know, that's fantastic, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you've said, and I'm sure that that's going to inspire our distributors incredibly. And you've mentioned something there, posture. And one of the questions I get asked a lot, and I'm really keen to hear your response, with new people, new distributors, they're keen, they've got enthusiasm, you know, but they go, how am I supposed to have posture when I'm only new in the business, I don't have much of a story, what am I supposed to do? How do you answer a question like that?
That is a really good one, and it's one that people really, really do need to understand. When you're a new person, you have to understand this is why we have a system in place, and you should be working very, very closely with your upline, because your upline has got way more posture than you, because they've gone through more Reliv experiences than you. They know more stories than you. They've created their business already. And so I always loved the story that I heard with Sean Bergeron. He's an ambassador over in the US, and he was going to his family members when he was new into Reliv, and he was going to them saying, I'm going to be making $30,000 a month. And he was going to all his friends, and they all asked him. They said, sir, how much money are you making at the moment? And he said, didn't I just tell you I just started? I'm not making anything, but I'm going to be making $30,000 a month. Now you can either watch me or you can come along with me. Now that was a person who, even though they just started their business, had an immense amount of posture. Sean Bergeron today is a top ambassador earning between 40, 50,000 a month. And so again, you have to see the things that are not as if they are. And if you can do that, then that will develop your level of posture. And so as a new person, when you're talking to somebody and somebody sort of like gives you a negative response, then your posture can say, well, listen, I'm not looking for people who I need to convince about changing their lives. I'm looking for people who want to change their life and they wanted to change it yesterday. And for those people, I can connect them up to everybody necessary to help them to do that. So what do you want to do? See, that kind of posture, even though you're new, you don't have to then justify the fact that you're not making a big check at the moment, because your posture is what's going to make people want to follow you, because people want to follow people that know where they're going. They don't want to follow people that don't know where they're going. And so posture is extremely important.
And that, again, I couldn't agree with you more, and I love your comment there that people want to follow people who know where they're going. And that's so true, because people need direction, they need focus, and they need leadership. And how important do you think is leadership in a group when people, they've built a business, and how do people learn, or distributors who have built a bit of an organization and they've gone through master affiliate, they've reached director level, how do they deal with suddenly they're in this leadership level and they've never been there before? How did you deal with that?
Well, first of all, Bernie, I'll give you a little story. Like I said, I look at the things that are not as if they are. So everything that I put in place with the outlook that I already had a massive organization. So for instance, communication is extremely important. I think one of the things that people take for granted in our industry is the fact that you need to stay communicated with your organization. I think it's so important. And one of the ways I stay in communication with my organization is I use an autoresponder so that they get emails from me. And when I was creating my messages that I put in my autoresponder, I was always creating messages like to the organization, to fellow business partners. At the time, Bernie, I probably only had one distributor, but I was sending the email out to my organization or to my fellow business partners, because I was not looking at where I was at that point. I was looking at where I'm going to be 5 years down the line. And the beauty about it is today, Bernie, is those same emails that I send out to when I only had one distributor is the same emails that get sent out to my organization of thousands of distributors today. And so you have to, and what I found out is that the people that now who come into my organization, they understand the importance of communication as well, and they are communicating with their people so everybody's being looked after. Because I will never tell my distributors to do something that I'm not prepared to do myself, because I truly believe that leaders lead from the front. And if you want to know if you are a leader, it's not you blowing your own horn saying I'm a leader. It's somebody else saying, oh yeah, that person is a leader. It's a bit like the phrase of humility, you know, the phrase of humility that says, yeah, I'm the most humblest person you know. Well, that very phrase itself shows you that you're full of pride, because a humble person won't tell you that they're humble. It's somebody else telling you that they're humble. And I think that's the same thing with leadership.
And that's a great philosophy, and I agree with that. And it's interesting, you talked about seeing yourself not where you are today, but where you're going to be in the future. It's what I call the Wayne Gretzky philosophy. Wayne Gretzky being arguably the greatest ice hockey player of all time. When interviewed once, interviewer asked him why was he as good as he was, and he said, well, it's really quite simple. I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck's going to be. And it's the same philosophy. But, you know, Jason, one of the things that before I wrap up and get sort of to our last question is, you come from a business development background in IT. So where do you see IT? Where do you see technology and social media and things like that? How do you utilize that with your business?
Benny, I am truly a believer in the old school methods of network marketing in conjunction with the new school. What I mean by that is putting bums on seats is always the best way to get in front of somebody, see the whites of their eyes, and see how they're reacting when you're talking to them. But the thing is, if that is not necessarily possible simply because of a geographical issue, then we live in 2013. There are ways in which you can get the presentation in front of somebody. I personally think gone are the days of posting out catalogs and CDs. The internet has opened up so much more than that. You can get somebody. I personally have a website, Bernie, where I go through a presentation on my website. And the reason why I do that is because I've got people coming on board in certain parts of the UK and abroad where there are no system meetings, no Saturday trainings at all. So if I do not have the ability to get a presentation in front of them, they're going to miss out. And so, and because of what the presentation that I have, somebody can get the presentation instantly, and I can speak to them an hour later to answer whatever questions that they've got. And that's utilizing technology. That's not taking away from the fact that I still need to get people to a Tuesday meeting or get them to a Saturday training, but I'm broadening my horizons in that the internet has opened up a vast audience to us. You mentioned social media. I've had people that have found me on Facebook that I haven't seen for 20 years. And we've been able to be re-established on Facebook, and I've been able to tell them what I do, and they've been able to see a presentation of Reliv. That would have never been able to happen had social media not been around. So the communication that is around today in 2013 makes our job of growing an international Reliv business even easier. And I do understand that there's going to be certain people that are never going to use technology. I understand that, yeah? And they're going to just stick with the old school methods, and that's absolutely fine. But I also understand there are other people that want to utilize technology to get in front of more people as well. And I believe that everybody should have that choice. I don't believe in one size fits all. I believe that if you want to use the internet, that's beautiful, because you're going to get your business in front of a lot more people. If you don't want to use the internet, that's fine as well. You just go out as a foot soldier, go out and do things the old school way. The most important thing is that people are hearing about Reliv, and I believe that we need to utilize technology. I personally need to utilize technology.
Okay, great, Jason, and I agree with all your comments there, and it's a perfect synergy, it's a perfect balance between the old school and new school, as you explained it then. And you know, with Reliv's put a lot together. You know, in the short time that I've been with the company, just in 9 months, it's just been amazing what's happened. And of course we've got amazing new products, we've got this great opportunity. But I've got one final question for you, and this is something that I'm sure all of our distributors are going to be really interested in the answer, and that is, why do you believe that Reliv is the place to be?
Well, the reason why I believe that Reliv is the place to be, I categorically, hand on heart, believe that Reliv, in the industry that we're in, there's no other company like us. I mean, out of the 14 products that we've got in our portfolio, none of them hold their own patent. That says itself in regards to the science that goes on in with the product. I mean, Dr. Carl Hastings as an individual holds 8 patents. Not that many people can hold up their hand and say that they've got that. And so the science behind the company is second to none. Obviously, we know what's happening now with the epigenetics and everything that's happening with Lunison, and the fact that we've got that global licensing agreement. That in itself is massive. But as well as that, the company is very much positioned in an industry that is vastly expanding, the wellness industry as well as direct sales. And I believe that Reliv is unique in that the culture that Reliv creates, it creates an environment that people who have a passion for helping other people, as well as people who have a passion for changing their own finances, can stick around in an environment that is conducive to their growth. I know that there's a lot of companies out there that all they're on is sponsor, and it's not really about the passion for helping people. But we always understand that sponsoring is important, but the environment that Reliv creates is an environment that a specific type of person can have longevity. And I do believe that the people that are here that are going to build the biggest checks in Reliv are those people that have a passion for helping other people. Because I always say, if you have your financial goals, which is important, you need to have your financial goals and you write them down. You have to write them down and make them plain. But once you've got those goals in place, if you can then take your eyes off them for 1 second and then just focus on the people, helping the people, you'll always make the money. I think if it's the other way around and you're just focusing on the money, then you're going to miss out on helping the people, and eventually your check is going to go. But if you have that focus of helping people, then you will always make the money. And I think that message comes from the corporate level coming down. Because when you hear Bob Montgomery speak and Ryan and all those guys at corporate speak, you know that their passion is for one thing and one thing only: helping every single individual distributor that decides to build a business or customer that decides to take the product. And because that is coming from the top down, that filters down to the whole of the Reliv world. And that is the reason why now is the right time to be involved with Reliv, because it's passionate people helping people to increase their health and their finances, which is two areas which people struggle with the most. And so I believe that, Bernie. I believe anybody who has that passion, anybody who has a good work ethic, because guess what, it is work. Our distribution model is network marketing, not no work marketing. You have to do something. So if somebody has got that passion and they're ready to go out, you couldn't be in a better place.
Well, yeah, look, inspirational words, and as you say there with Bob Montgomery and Ryan and Scott and all the other guys at corporate, and I experienced that myself for the first time at an international conference this year, they're doing what you talked about before, and they're leading from the front, they're leading by example, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Every single conversation I've ever had with corporate, the one thing that is unquestionable is their integrity. And when I was looking at the business to get involved with, there was one thing that I needed to know, and that was that the leadership had integrity. And the first bit of integrity I was introduced to was Ericville. I always say this: I'll take every single opportunity to blow Ericville's whistle, because he's proved himself to me so many times. And when I first came into the business, I was at an opportunity, in fact, before I came into the business, I was at an opportunity meeting, and he said he was going to do something. And normally, when you go to opportunity meetings enough, you know that people tell you all kinds of things and they never come through with it. But with Ericville, what he said he was going to do, he came through my door 4 days later, which spoke of his integrity. And then when I met Bob Montgomery for the first time when he came over to the UK and spoke with him, I mean, you could just feel the integrity coming from this man. I remember I met him on the Friday night, and he saw me again on the Saturday, and there's a lot of people around him, and he remembered my name. Now, that is an amazing thing. I mean, it's something small, but for me it was something really, really big. And then I've met Scott Montgomery on a number of occasions, the president, and again, his integrity is just a chip off the old block. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, as they say, and that's exactly what's happened with Scott. And I've just got, and Bernie, I met you for the first time in Orlando not too long ago, and I can hear and feel your passion for what you've got for the Asia Pacific market. And I know that you're a man that has a passion for helping people, and you're going to take everybody who wants to go on the journey with you to heights that they couldn't even imagine. And the beauty about it is, Bernie, is that you're not forcing nobody to do anything that they don't want to do. But for those people who want to do it, the journey is going to be sweet.
A great journey. Thanks, Jason, for those comments. I appreciate them. But you're right, it's a great journey. It's a fantastic journey. And look, I really want to thank you for being on with us tonight, mate. This has been really inspirational. I know that our distributors are going to be absolutely inspired by it, that they have learnt so much tonight. And I have to say that I love your passion. You know, one of our New Zealand distributors, one of our actually distributors who won the Win Your Way to go across to Orlando was Taylor Ulafonua, and who you met. And Taylor was, of course, the guy who did the haka on stage when we were at the Calogris rally, which made him famous in the in the Reliv world. But you know, Taylor just speaks so highly of you, the time that he spent with you over there. And you know, I think that today, this webinar that you've done for us and the information that you've shared and what you've shared from your heart is just going to really help our distributors. You know, we're climbing out of a place where it's been tough for people for the last few years, but we've got people who are inspired, we've got people who are focused, we've got people who just want it. They're hungry, they do have their why, and they want to make it there. And I really believe that this webinar today and your words and what you've been willing to share with us, and again I say to you, there's nothing in this for you financially. This comes from your heart, and I appreciate it, and they appreciate it. And mate, what you've done here today is really going to help them. So thank you so much, Jason.
Bernie, it's been my pleasure, and again, just like to encourage everybody out there, It's like a farmer. When a farmer has to get up in the morning to till that ground, sometimes that ground is hard, but he knows he has to get up every morning to till the ground, because if he doesn't, he won't have a harvest. And that's exactly where we are with our business. Sometimes we get up and it seems hard, but again, you get up, you do what you need to do, and then when you do that, you will get the harvest. And I just know that the whole of the Asia Pacific is going to blow open, and it is blowing open already, because you, like you said, you got the leadership in place, both corporate and in the field. So it was my pleasure to be part of this webinar.
Well, thanks, mate. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that we can have you back with us again soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Billy.
Well, everybody, that was just sensational. I just feel that, you know, we're really moving places with what we're doing here in Asia Pacific. You know, Jason, everything that he said there was just so pertinent to what we're doing here. And guys, you know, please come back and listen to this webinar again and again. Take on board what was said. Listen to what was talked about the system and how important it is to follow the system, and how you can put the pieces together. Just in 1 week, you're putting most of the pieces of the system together. And leading by example, and of course the integrity. That is so important, and I think is one of the biggest parts of why people get involved with Reliv, and I know it's one of the big reasons that I'm involved with Reliv. I just want to give everyone some updates, some events that are coming up. Of course, we've got New Zealand and Tasmania coming up, and we've got our new business presentation that we're providing there, and that which will be going online once we've gone through all of these and got all the feedback from the field, so that we know that the business presentation, which is young and fresh and dynamic, that it's actually going to be just what the field needs. So that'll be online once we've gone through those meetings. And of course, the ignition strategy that we've delivered in Australia and New Zealand, delivered so successfully, which is seeing us get great momentum here, we're now delivering throughout Asia Pacific, and it's coming to Manila in the Philippines. And so on the 7th of September, as it said there, venue is to be announced, but on the 7th of September I'm going over to Manila, and we're going to launch Ignition over there, and I am so excited because the Philippines is really on the cusp of doing something great. And I tell you what, there is so much momentum over there and so much excitement, and all of the strategies, the Ignition strategies that we've delivered have worked, and we know they're going to work there, and we're going to roll them out through all of Asia Pacific. And I'm so excited, and I'm so honored to get that opportunity to get across to Manila to actually be there with all of our leaders and all the distributors and our corporate staff over there in the Philippines. So guys, if you know anyone in the Philippines, make sure you get them along on the 7th of September. And of course, hey, let's not forget our Take the Lead conference on the 11th and 12th of October in Melbourne for our Australia and New Zealand conference. And that's coming up pretty quick. You might think, hey, we're in August and that's in October, but let me tell you, that time frame is closing fast, and this is going to be a fantastic conference. And the awards dinner, the dinner on the Saturday night, is different to anything we've done here before. It's an awards dinner. It's a gala dinner where we are going to celebrate the achievements and the successes of your peers. This is going to be a really great night. So guys, come along. Make sure that when you register for the conference, that you register to be there for that dinner, because it will be well worth your while. And remember, be on the lookout every Monday for the email link and for the Facebook post to get the link for our webinar of the day, or of the week, but it comes out every Monday. So keep your eyes open for that. And as I've always said, and as I end up each webinar, guys, go out there and ignite your business. Bye all.